Greetings. We are meeting under a full moon in the sign of Cancer to discuss the nature of the times. This is our last video for the year of 2023. Now here I am appropriately shooting this video from my childhood home under the Cancer full moon. I grew up in Buffalo, New York. As you can see, it's not a snowy Christmas in Buffalo this year. Fortunately, as last year, there was a blizzard that took over 40 people's lives. Now I'm going to cut straight to the chase in this video as we're all looking at limited time and energy. But first, I must plug the 2024 Rasa Leela Healing Astrology calendar. This calendar is featuring the visionary work of Selena Jane. And so every month you actually get a diptych, which is 2 paintings of the new and full moon and their zodiac sign. So Selena painted these paintings watching my videos in 2023. Now we get to see her artwork accompanying an advanced astrology calendar. So this has all the aspects and additional asteroids we talk about in my astrology school. You can pre-order our 2024 calendar at the link below in the video description. In addition to our full moon taking place in Cancer today, which brings up emotion, which brings up reflection, particularly during a Mercury retrograde, there's a tremendous amount of reflection on the past. So again, appropriate to be shooting from my childhood home. Mercury retrograde, we meet old friends, we reflect on our past relationships, and this is also an emotionally sensitive time. The sign of Cancer is the sign of emotion and feeling. And it is through emotional digestion that we have our own deeper story told to us via our own inner child. So this is an emotional full moon. It's a nostalgic full moon. It's also a time period here during the holidays, New Year, where we are oftentimes revisiting family under this particular moon every year. Now, on this very day, Chiron is stationing direct at 15 degrees Aries, conjunct the moon's north node. And Chiron and the moon's north node are now going to be moving closer and closer together through mid-February of 2024. The ruler of Aries is Mars, which we see Mercury joining the 27th to 28th, and Mercury and Mars will square to Neptune on the 27th and the 28th as well. So between this Chiron, this Mars-Neptune square, we can certainly be dealing with Aries themes. And in particular, what we may be experiencing can be a recognition of limitation around energy, around motivation. Mars is fundamentally our will to live. Mars rules the blood, which pumps life force throughout our body. So Mars rules sexuality, libido, excitement, courage, confidence, to go our own way, to do the warrior path, to flex our muscles, to climb the mountain. Aries is the natural daredevil that enjoys that sense of adrenaline. But what we may be experiencing at this particular time is a bit of Aries detriment. We may be noticing what's in between us and that excitement, that motivation. We may be experiencing a lack of energy. This is a particular time of year where people tend to get sick. This is because the Cancer full moon is emotional. We get bagged down with all the responsibilities and work during Capricorn season. So it's actually very, very important at the very end of this year, the last week of December, that we are being especially flexible, generous, and not being overly obsessed, like we have to fire one arrow and hit the bullseye. You know, we want to allow ourselves, if possible, multiple attempts, multiple tries, and we don't even necessarily have to hit the bullseye. As you may have heard me say in these videos previously, when we miss the bullseye, it's not failure, it's feedback. And we're experiencing a tremendous amount of feedback these days. What is working and what is not working? How can we spark this motivation, this direction, and this will to live? Now, Chiron, which I'm going to continue to go in depth in this next year, as well as have some additional resources while we go through this particular transit, 'cause it's affecting us all in highly unique ways, but there are these common themes where Chiron and Aries can be a bit of a gut punch. If you've ever been punched in the gut, you know that feeling of having the wind knocked out of you. You can't breathe and you go into this catatonic frozen-like state. That can be some of the wounding experience of this Chiron and Aries. There are getting knocked off of our horse-like experiences. And this healing journey is going to fundamentally require many of us to find the means, the resources. How do we get back up on our horse? How do we find that will to live? What is that charge? How do we get back to our physicality? What do we need to do through our day to be empowered, to be on track, to be determined? What needs to be cleared out of the way? As Chiron kind of fundamentally rules this bleeding out. So Chiron stationing direct today under a Cancer full moon, you can bet. This is a signature of catharsis, cathartic release. And it's really through catharsis that we heal. It's this removal of the old inadequacy, the old fears. It gets purged out of our system. And this is true in any type of healing, but certainly in healing trauma, for example, for those who are, which we all are, suffering from some form of PTSD. We have to remember that root trauma in order to bring healing awareness to those places, which can somewhat require a subtle re-traumatization. So this is a very delicate area because we're getting poked, we're getting prodded. These re-traumatizations can be taking place, knocking us off of our horse, and we would be well to be aware of how this is informing us, of what we need, of our own healing journey. And what's getting purged out are the old fears, what bars us from confidence or courage to go our own way. That's what's being detoxed from our system right now. And as a result, we can get back on our horse with increased libido, increased energy, increased determination, the fearlessness to carve our own path through life. And this is going to call many souls to action, especially our natural warriors and our natural healers. This Chiron in Aries is, okay, it's time to go, and you've got to do it your way, and you've got to do your thing, and you may have to even go your own way. As Chiron in Aries can indicate a potential healing through separation, whether that be relational, or whether it be simply bringing more freedom into our lives, as Aries requires open road, the open road to self-discover, what it is that we like, what it is that we desire, what it is that excites us. So we have to have independence. And this Chiron in Aries is going to call us to initiate such independence. This is going to continue through springtime, a healing through separation, simultaneously a self-initiation of the warrior. Okay. Now we're in the last month of Pluto in Capricorn, basically, too. There's going to be a little brief dip in and out in 2024, but this is essentially Pluto completing his transit of Capricorn, which has been ongoing since 2008. So the global tensions, the regression into the medieval era, seeing everything that's wrong with society, these wars, these responses, this military punishment, orientation, which is a pathology in itself, right? We know that this negative reinforcement, punishment, does not fix problems. It just keeps the wheel of karma turning. And so Pluto's now at the last degree of Capricorn, and there's this culmination of this karmic turning. We can see all of these abusive patterns. We can see the generations the ancestry, the racial, cultural division. We're experiencing this on the individual level, how we've been trained to put ourselves down or to attack or to limit or to demonize. And it is a culmination. It means it's building up in intensity. And then when Pluto goes into Aquarius this next month of January, we have a release. It's like a loaded spring that's lifting off. And mid-February, when Venus and Mars and the Sun joins Pluto in Aquarius, there's a tremendous Willy Wonka's great glass elevator, shattering the ceiling. And Aquarius is going to introduce fundamental new possibilities that we are not aware of yet. Right now, we're kind of in the prison steel box, and we're remembering the steel box, and we're remembering the ancestry, the history, the limitations, the expectations and obligations going back, passed on from generation to generation, and it's limiting, and it's conforming, and it's oppressive. It's fundamentally oppressive. So we can be mapping this oppression at this time. First, we have to map it to understand what needs to be removed. And then that loaded spring lifts off. Willy Wonka's great glass elevator breaks the rules. Does not just go up and down, can go lengthwise, diagonal-wise, horizontal-wise. That's what we're talking about as we enter into the realm of Aquarius. The rules are broken, new possibilities are introduced, and as much as we can try out new things, even if it's experimental, weird, going against the grain, those things are going to very much pay forward and introduce these new pathways, especially as we come into the next several years. But again, right now, we're experiencing this incredible tension because we're at this very in-between point. It's like just before you throw up, I think it's the most uncomfortable point, right? I use this as a Chiron analogy. When people go through Chiron transits, it literally is experienced this way, where it's like you're just purging out toxins. And so we need to give ourselves pats on the back. We need to recognize this process. It's like, yeah, we just had food poisoning. And so this detoxing, purging process is inherently good for us. But I find particularly those really uncomfortable moments just before you vomit, that apprehension, that's kind of the most challenging part. And that's kind of where we find ourselves collectively right now, just before we start to release, get rid of, clear, purify, create the space that's going to bring in more energy, motivation, determinism, and will to live. That's the fundamental crises, healing journey, and opportunity on the menu these days. This again can also play out very much in terms of physicality. So body, energy, sexuality, this can be a testing period. We're seeing where we have, these places in our bodies that are susceptible. And again, it's not fun when we have an allergic reaction, but that allergic reaction informs us of what doesn't work well with our system. All right? So it's a very exciting introduction to 2024. We've also got Jupiter stationing direct, 5 degrees Taurus, this next weekend, December the 30th. This is a good thing because this can be expanding more of our perspective and our awareness of these different possibilities. How can we open up this bubble? How can we open up our world, come out of this sheltered, limited box of the past? So that's the good news, is Jupiter's going to station direct, immediately followed by Mercury stationing direct in Jupiter's sign. On January 1st, Mercury will station direct 22 degrees Sagittarius, conjunct the asteroid Aries and the planet Mars. So at the very beginning of 2024, we can be coming into more clarity. Okay, I understand. This is what's working and this isn't what's working. And this is where we've been limited and now there's new possibilities opening up. And you know what? That actually was not okay. There was never actually anything moral about that. That was not us being in our integrity. And how can we align with integrity? How can we be really honest and truthful not only in our minds and how we think and how we identify, but in how we live, period. What are you doing day to day? And how is what you're doing day to day reflecting this deeper spiritual, philosophical ontology? That's being called in integrity. That's the opportunity that we have to work for going into 2024. There's all of these adjustments, what needs to be changed so we can be in integrity, we can be truthful, we can be honest, we can be motivated, we can have what we need supplied so we can hop on that horse and charge in whatever way, in whatever direction we are being called to charge. Because again, chances are this is happening for each of us in highly unique ways. That's the nature of Aries. It's like Aries is this gut intuition, which is just like, I don't know why, but my gut's telling me this isn't right. And my gut's calling me in this direction. And that's going to lead us. That's what we're really healing, tuning into, finding wisdom in the animal nature, finding wisdom in the sexual nature, and finding wisdom in this gut wisdom. It's the animal self that's informing us. And it says, yeah, this is not safe. This is safe. I don't want to go here. Or I'm being called in this direction. I don't know why. I'm being called into the middle of nowhere. And this is where Mars, Aries, pulls out his sword and starts to carve his path forward. I don't know why I'm being called in this direction. Then we find the place. We start to clear the space. We start to gather the materials because we individually are called that way. Nobody said, hey, you go that direction. Nobody said, hey, we want you to do this for us. We are recognizing this on the individual level in highly unique ways. And this is where I'm saying, if you're finding there is a crisis, or there is a wound, or is there a fundamental missing need maybe in your life, and then you discover, hey, this is a fundamental missing need for humanity. This is a fundamental missing need for our culture and society. That is the initiation to do the work that only you can do. And that's where this Chiron and Aries on the North Node is going to call forth the warriors to initiate their own path forward with courage and confidence. This is also going to call many people to take a stand on our soapbox, fight back. No more bullshit. No more tolerating oppression. This is the reinitiation of individual warriors. That means power of one. That's what we're proving and showing to ourselves now through forthcoming months. Now Venus is going to square Saturn on the 1st of January. Again, Jupiter's stationing in Taurus around the same time. So this is also going to make clear our financial situation. It could put some pressure on us. We open our wallet and a fly comes out. And if you experience a bit of that, it is, again, how do we make these adjustments to get the will to live, the resources, to get on track, to be well-fed, well-supplied, comfortable. As I mentioned in the last video, you can't just eat shit and keep moving forever. Where's the quality? Where's the nutrients? Where's the nourishment? Again, we may be provoked to discover just that through a sense of lack. That is not a punishment. This is not karma. This is not failure. This is all evolutionary necessity that is driving us forward at this time, as well as really driving this tremendous tension. Now, on January 4th, Mars, who is ruling the North Node in Aries, will enter into Capricorn. Mars will be in Capricorn from January 4th through February 13th. And this is a good sign of getting back up on that horse. Mars in Capricorn is determined. Let's build it. Let's do it. No more waiting around. No more waiting for permission. It's go time. So we're getting busy January through mid-February of this year. And this momentum and this energy, it's going to be really important to keep us uplifted out of the quagmire of just how much darkness and intensity is authentically being scraped from the bottom of the barrel in our collective consciousness at this time. The sun will square Chiron. Saturday Saturday, January 6th. So we're in a very Chironic period. In that first January 6th, Sun square Chiron, it's again a turning of a corner. How do we honor our own individual direction? How do we honor our creative purpose so we can feel good? You know, it's a bit of an exaggeration, you know, we don't want to take it too far, but how can we create the sense that every day is our birthday? In a way to be inspired, uplifted, happy, excited, to be ourselves, to express ourselves, to do our own thing, to request our own needs and things. You know, there's a little bit of this healing journey, meaning it's not getting served to us on a silver platter, but this is the work, and that is the gold. That's the gold at the end of the rainbow here. And again, January 2nd, Mercury stations direct in Sagittarius, which can bring us a lot more clarity in terms of all of this turmoil and turnover that's been going over the last couple months. This can include, as we'll talk about in forthcoming videos, how this can play out so much, not only in our relationships, but really the evolution of how we are relating. So it's not just who we're relating with that may be changing, it's how we're relating with others that can be going through tensions. How much of ourself versus how much of them? How much do we give? How much do we take? This is going to continue to be an evaluation and an opportunity to progress through the months to come. Mercury will move back into Capricorn in January and come out of his shadow phase January 21st. So again, we're in the very midst of things, believe it or not, going into the new year of 2024. I am wishing the very best to you in all of this digestion. My calendar for this next year features advanced astrology for those of you who want to really be tuned in and keeping track. We've got the moon sign every day, new and full moons, planetary aspects per day, including the major asteroids, plus Chiron. And if you're going through a tough time, you want support, you want to check in with me, have me look at your chart and offer a mini chart reading, we will be meeting for our final Q&A of the year on the very last day of 2023, the 31st. So if you're going through it, want some feedback from me, or you want to learn some astrology, it's a really beautiful opportunity, not only as an educational opportunity, because we're learning the astrology through real time, hearing people and their experience, looking at their chart, looking at their transits. It's also a support group. We really get a sense of how we're all in this together. And folks, I am in it with you. I like to say that I'm kind of like the weatherman reporter in the middle of the hurricane with the microphone, so I'm right there with you. The will to live, the motivation, this is where we can really come together and find new creative ways of offering support to one another. With that being said, I am now going to turn the video off and rest. I hope that you also find the time to do the same. As always, I am wishing you the very best, and I look forward to seeing you all in 2024.